Hello, welcome to the Blackwing Layer Guide. I will be navigating this playthrough in the retail version on a higher level character. I'd like to give a quick shout out to our guild on Globulus Horde. If you're looking to find a social structure for PvP, PvE, or a roleplay as a shaman that was turned into a frog, or an orc with a gluten allergy, we welcome you. And I'll post a link to our Discord. Razorgore is going to be the first boss in BWL. Warlocks want to use Voidwalkers for sustained. Start off by hugging the left wall and get under the southwest pillar to do buffs and explain the strategy. Your mitigation tank is going to want to take control of the orb. This is the Orb of Domination. This is a long endurance check with add waves, followed by a boss similar to Dracasath and Ubers. Expect around 10 minutes of combat. During the orb phase, the four corners of the room is where casters, legionnaires, and dragonkin adds spawn. Their goal is to interrupt the tank channeling the orb, and it's your raid's job to pick them up or fear them away if they resist. Divide and assign a tank and a backup player for orb control, a hunter group, a southern group, a northern group, and a caster group, or a group to roam between each side. Divide the healers heavy between the southern and northern group, and add some for the hunters and the roaming groups. Yes, the hunters will need heals and are good renew and rejuvenation targets. The hunters will want to cast Distracting Shot and Arcane Shot on the big dragons and kite them in a circle. Have them all run the same route. Have the hunters all run the same route. Druids may hibernate the dragons that the hunters have not yet picked up to reduce incoming damage, but CC is often being broken by the cleave in the kill spots. Rogues and DPS are assigned to kill the casters first, along with interrupting and stunning them. Legionnaires second, which are also stunnable, and finally any dragonkin left alive can pad your meters. After all the eggs are destroyed by the tank, the orcs and dragons will evade from the room and run out. When the tank uses the orb, he will gain a 1 minute debuff that prevents him from activating the mind control back to back. Throughout the fight, the mind control spell will run out or get interrupted by adds once or twice. Because of this, you want to assign a second person you trust to be the tank's buddy, and they will grab the orb if there is an error with the channeling. And can be any class or spec, but they want to give control back to the mitigation tank before the final egg is destroyed. The adds that have low life can be used to gain more soul shards. Warlocks can use Curse of Shadows to increase the damage of Arcane Shot and reduces the chance that enemies will resist an emergency fear. Curse of Exhaustion can be used for helping kite and pick up mobs. Curse of Tongues on the casters gives a better chance for interrupts, but the remaining curses and dots are generally not mana efficient. Generally not mana efficient. Around 13 eggs remaining, players can use any of their 2-minute consumables or cooldowns and expect them to be refreshed at the start of the Razorgore engagement. So, the final egg gets destroyed and the mobs bug out of the room. Now the person that was on the orb has essentially infinite threat on Razorgore. Tank the boss just in front of the orb facing the empty room, or pretty much facing due east. This will be the spot. Casters should stack on the southern corner of the orb platform, and melee can use the same alcove to or the one on the north side. Razorgore will cast avoidable fireball volleys that can be avoided by going out of line of sight. Razorgore also casts a conflagration on the tank that was controlling the orb, which will do an immolation around the tank, and then he will swap aggro to the second highest player on the list. That person or tank needs to spin Razorgore to face the north side so that he does not cleave anyone. Razorgore will also cast a War Stomp. That means the raid needs to know the tank is vulnerable to melee attacks and he won't be generating threat during that time. It's your job, if you're low on health, to get out of line of sight and bandage, or use a fire protection potion to reduce healer workload. So now I'm on the next boss, but I have not yet gone through the first boss.
It's too far away.
So I think I'm going to have to record the talking separate and overlay it on some video. Okay. So we have 5 skills: Calm Dragonkin, Cleave, Destroy Egg. So when you cast this in Classic, it takes 3-second cast time. Right now it's free. And if you need to rechannel the orb after the debuff wears off, you can click on the thing while you're looking at it in control of Draka's general, while in control of Razorgore. Let's see. So if you wanted to tank Razorgore, here, you never want to let him break during. If I melee him, he will die in one shot. Razorgore is getting low. I have a lot of stuff attacking me. So you should be able to dodge his fireball volley through that. So fireball volley. Oh, I was trying to see if I could line of sight it. Yeah, I would say just boom. Basically, you want to tank him like right about here, I guess. One attack, he dies. Veilstraw has a small group of goblins in his room. After rezzing the dead from Razorgore, pull the pack into Razorgore's room. Here they're running away. Rebuff and move into the next room. Warlocks can use Succubus for damage. They may take raid AoE. In order to start the fight, okay, I'm skipping around too much. After one person talks to Veil to start the fight. After a bit of RP, everyone will gain infinite mana, rage, and energy for the duration of the fight. There's a 3-minute timer to kill him before he enrages. Veilstraws has a mechanic that gives one member of the raid burning adrenaline and turns their character's color dark red. Burning Adrenaline makes all your spells instant cancels, doubles your damage, and drops your health rapidly. I want to go over positions before I start that. Once Burning Adrenaline pushes your health to 0, you'll blow up and deal raid wiping damage to everyone around you. That means that when you get the debuff, go to the designated place to die while doing as much damage to the dragon before your life total runs out. When the tank gets this debuff at the start of the fight, they stay in place at the front of the dragon, and the healers keep spamming him with max rank flash heals to keep him alive. Use the debuff spots for the most important raid DPS abilities. The priority should be Sunder Armor, Curse of Elements, Curse of Recklessness, Curse of Shadows, Fairy Fire, Winter's Chill, Improved Shadow Bolt, Shadow Weaving, Gift of Arthas, Annihilator or a armor reducing weapon debuff, Axefall Nightfall Axe debuff, Shadow Word Pain, Mind Flay, Curse of Agony, Corruption, and Corruption. If you have more than 3 hunters, you can get rid of a corruption or a curse of agony in favor of a hunter's mark. Raiding without a shadow priest frees up 3 debuff slots at the cost of warlock DPS. Common positioning is to have the casters on the balcony on the close wall. The current tank will stand on the throne. And the melee DPS will be on the far side, and they will want to start the fight outside of range of the dragon. The melee that die to Burning Adrenaline will go to the kill spot. The death spot is the doorway to Razorgore. This is usually where you want to die. Right on this pillar. Let's see, can I bring up raid markers? Convert to raid. Okay, I can't do that. This could be where everyone dies. Melee may be able to die somewhere around here. On her back leg. That may be the best spot for melee. The melee that died to Burning Adrenaline here are out of range from exploding the tank, and they're out of range of DPS on the far side. So let's go ahead and start it up so we can go to Broodlord Trash.
Too late, friends. Nefarious' corruption has taken hold. I cannot control myself. I beg you, mortals, flee! Flee before I lose all sense of control. The black fire rages within my heart. I must
This will be the
release
main
it.
tank spot, and the melee will stand right around here at max range of Veilstress.
Flame, death, destruction.
Veilstraws.
Cower mortals before the wrath of Lord. No, I must fight this. Alexstrasza,
3 minutes.
help me. I must fight.
Let's see if I get the Burning Adrenaline. Flame Breath. I wonder if tanks need to wear a lot of fire resist on this. Oh, there we go. So now we got Burning Adrenaline. Damage done increased by 100%. Reduces max health 5% per second. Deals 4,000 damage to surrounding allies upon death. Damage increased 100%. So when you re-engage, you can have the casters and healers sneak up here to get back on the balcony.
I need to get closer.
Nefar,
See if I get any Bloodfang items. A Bloodfang belt. So the Blue Lord trash includes dragon packs and the suppression room, dragons and orcs. You can pull them all back to this room where I've set up the target markers, because why not? You have so much space for activities there. So let's see. These guys can be sleep. The dragon, death talon, wormkin. These guys need to be kited. The big death count. They deal. They have another aura that does healing and buffs other people next to them. These guys can all be killed fairly quickly. Nope. Pull them back to Veil or tank them on this balcony. So you have the entire boss room, so you may as well use it. So you send your tanks and druids to mark these next two trash pools. Have your druids sleep the caster dragons and make sure they keep the tanks alive. Any unslept dragon casters are your first kill targets. So if you're only bringing one or two druids, or if a druid dies, you need to focus the wormkin casters. You can put a Curse of Tongue on them to help reduce incoming raid damage. The smaller dragon champions are the second kill targets. And the beefiest dragon champion, you want to leave this guy to last. You'll have your hunters kite him back and forth using Feign Death to ping pong aggro. Do not bring the Death Talon Captain near the raid because they have a War Stomp spell which can wipe your trash pool. So I have no druid, so I would go Wormkin. Oh, whoops. Wormkin. Wormkin. Lesser guy. Lesser guy. Lesser guy. Hunter kite the star.
It's too far away.
He has a cleave and he has a war stomp. So before you go into the suppression room, make sure you have rogues assigned. When you get into here, you'll want to pull the elite orcs down into where the trash packs respawn. So off this ledge. A good way to do that is to have the hunters shoot them and then jump off the ledge. You want to try to ignore the whelps and just target
I'm out of range.
the dragons. This will be a little bit different, but once you get aggro on one of them, the hunters will jump off the ledge, and the rest of the raid will kill them down here. So you want to pull all the elites in orcs and dragons out of the trap area with a hunter, and make sure that they also have raid assist to mark their targets. It's important no one dies at this point, because you have to spend time rezzing them, and that will have respawns catch up to you. As a rogue, you can disarm these traps. Get rid of these guys. So a huge penalty. Time between attacks increased to 400%. Distract, disarm. And then what you'll want to do is leave rogues back behind to pretty much re-press down the buttons. Ideally, as a rogue, you want to stand at max distance to not get those debuffs on you. So if you go up to here, you'll probably get it. But if you stand right around here, you should be safe from both of them. Let's see, it's going to reapply. It does. I can still target it. Oh. Kind of treat it like a checkerboard. There's a large range on it. So it looks like if you stay on this path, you're pretty good. So I can hit this, hit these. You have a large range to hit the traps. So once you get all the elites that you can clear from the bottom rune, you're gonna make your way across into this alcove, and just make sure whoever's the rogue that is in this alcove stays on these suppression gates for the entire time. You'll want to have your raid stacked right about here. This will be the raid spot. And then once all your raid is gathered up right here in this corner, like right in front of this, and then you have one rogue stand right in line of sight, and they should be good to activate the traps here. They'll have the hunters come up and pull some more orcs down for the rest of the raid. Make sure that the hunters are marking them. So the next part starts after you've cleared off all of the elites in this area. That is the rebuffs for Broodlord, and you'll be going on from there. You want to make sure you're never the last person in line, and you're never the first person in line during these trips. Don't get mad at rogues for missing a trap. Just call out that there has been one missed, and they will try and work their way over to it. It's a slow process getting there. this is going to be the route you run. Let's see, does this trap trigger? Looks like it is triggering. Yep. So we'll need to clear this one. Boom. Okay, so here is the safe spot for the before Broodlord pool. I'll be back in this corner. The time to engage Broodlord is after you put this one trap down. And then the spot you're going to pull Broodlord to is over here. You'll have the whole raid over in this corner. So these are the 3 traps that need to be activated to get a clean pull on Broodlord. Deactivated.
I'm out of range.
Let's see. I'm out of stealth, so that trap does not activate while I'm in this corner. This is generally the tank Broodlord corner. So Warlocks can use their imp for Broodlord. Rogues need to make sure they stay with the raid and keep the traps disarmed, at least the ones that are assigned for it. And make sure the 3 traps that we showed leading up here are also disarmed, because it can be a scuffed pool if you end up with the suppression devices on when you're starting the pool. You also want to know about Broodlord's mechanics. So you're going to face the Broodlord in this gate so that you're not going to be knocked back from Broodlord. There's also a Mortal Strike mechanic, so the tanks will need heavy heals and power ward shields during this. The tank will also get a threat reduction from Broodlord using the knockback. The knock away will drop your threat and knock you back. So at the start of the fight, the DPS does very light melee damage in between his blast waves, and you'll also want to have the casters using wands for the first 10 to 20% of the health. You do not want to re-clear the suppression room if you wipe on Broodlord from over aggroing. Broodlord is untauntable. If someone pulls aggro, they need to use a limited invulnerability potion and stop attacking, stop healing, and they should be sacrificed to the boss by running into the gate where the main tank is spawning, where their main tank is holding the boss. Once your ranged DPS starts, do not allow any of them to surpass the second tank's threat on the meter. If they do, the knockaway will have the boss attacking them and will very likely result in a wipe. There is a melee cleave, but also there is a flame blast AoE that goes off about every 5 seconds. If the melee need to run out and bandage, they can do that, and just make sure the suppression gates are down during the time. So the only real suppression gate that you need to keep down during the fight is this one right here. All the other ones should not be affecting the raid if the rest of the raid is grouped up in this corner. Let's go ahead and finish this boss off. On to the next one. This is the next boss, and it's called Blackwing Technician Trash. Okay, these guys are tough. This is the trash during and before the 3 drakes. When Broodlord dies, you can clear the remaining traps and whelps from the floor. That will allow you to get a lot of room for these next trash packs. So all of this can be cleared now that Broodlord is dead, and they will not respawn. I should not have vanished. Now I'll have to clear the other stuff to show.
It's too far away.
Okay, the Blackwing Technician packs are trash that should be taken seriously. The Blackwing Warlocks will summon a portal that that will cast a portal that will summon Felguards through it after a certain amount of time. You might be able to stun the Warlocks and stop the casting time on the Felguard summons. The Felguards can be damaged by melee if they stand exactly at maximum melee range to avoid the Thunderclap mechanic and cleaves. A good way to practice maximum melee range was on the last boss, Broodlord, where you had to run out of the blast waves. So the Warlocks need to be the primary kill target. Where is the spell binders? Don't have a spellbinder in this pack. So here is a spellbinder. These girls are going to be kited by the hunters. So I haven't explained the technicians yet. Blackwing Technicians throw grenades that deal over 1,000 damage in an AoE with a very fast attack speed. They are the real bane of these packs. And then here is the Blackwing Spellbinder. They are immune to most spells and are very weak to physical damage per second. She does a very high damage Pyroblast spell and a Rain of Fire AoE, and she can also polymorph players. The Death Talon Overseers, also called Worm Guards, have a Elemental Shield. So this one, it says damage taken from frost increased, damage taken from other magic decreased. I don't know if you use detect magic if that will show up in classic, but you can try as a mage. What that means is they're next to immune from everything except frost. This is why you want to have players with wands if they're a ranged DPS that can do each elemental type their spells cannot do. And you want to call out on voice comms when you find which weakness each Worm Guard has. Warlocks will need an Arcane, Nature, and Frost damage wand. Mages need a Shadow and Nature damage wand. And any priests that want to bring in wands will help. For example, a Shadow Priest will need a Frost, Fire, Arcane, and Nature damage wand. So, to start this packs, the Hunter will pull the Spellbinders back. And they're going to kite them all the way to the back of this room. The Spellbinders are the Hunter's primary target. The other stuff, the Death Talon Overseer is going to be picked up by your mitigation tank. The Blackwing Warlocks, they're going to be stunned and CC'd by your other players, your rogues and your intercepts from warriors will help. So there, he started summoning a Felguard portal. Wanted to make sure I get one. I'm going to wait till the Felguard comes up. Now, let's see these Blackwing technicians. They're all on me. Come on. Okay, so the best spot to handle the Blackwing technicians is over in this corner. You're going to have your caster mages and warlocks spamming AoE as they come in from this corner. The way that you can funnel the technicians into the corner is have your healers back here healing a warlock that's life tapping. So when you have your healers back in this corner, there'll be another warlock that's life tapping, say somewhere out here. You have your warlocks life tapping out here, and then all the threat will go to the healers that are back in this corner. It's very independent. This strat is very dependent on individual responsibility. You do not want your warriors or rogues to use any buffing skills like Blood Fury, Battle Shout, Blade Fury, and possibly even Slice and Dice could put them on the technician's aggro table. You want them single targeting the warlocks in each of these trash packs for your warrior and rogue DPS. Also, the shaman in the melee pack should be careful about dropping any totems. They can pull threat from the Blackwing technicians. So make sure that for any melee totems, they're placed down before the hunter initiates the pull, putting the rest of the raid initiates the pulls or anyone is in combat. An alternative strategy is to have your raids spread out in this area. So you can have some people all along here to reduce incoming damage from the technician packs. And you could say tank the worm guard in this corner here so that it's away from everybody. This is probably the best worm guard tanking spot. The second best worm guard tanking spot might be right about here, so they're in range of the healers. This might be preferable actually. Yeah, so probably tank worm guard here unless you're doing a spread out strategy and then you want to tank them on the opposite side of where most of your raid is, but hopefully they're spread out evenly. So you also would, in the spread out strategy, you want to focus the warlocks and then have the melee focus the warlocks and have the range blow up the technicians as fast as they can. If you kill the warlocks fast enough, they will not summon the Felguard. So I'm going to start it out. Didn't mark everything like I should have. Here's a tank thing. So we're going to have him. We'd tank the Death Talon guy here. This would be your last kill target. First kill target are your warlocks. I'm going to let that warlock go. Second kill target are your technicians. Your hunter wants to kite the Blackwing Spellbinders. They need to go way in the back so that they don't aggro or polymorph anybody. So hunters can take them all the way back here. Just keep taking them. and go all the way back here. That should give plenty of time. Flame strike, okay. And feign death. Let's see, he has not summoned a portal. I wanted to see if he summons a portal. I kill him during the portal if the Felguard spawns. He's got plenty of mana to summon a portal. There we go. So we got the demon portal. Boom. If we kill him, does the demon spawn? It looks like no. Oh, there's a demon. Never mind. Not sure if that was from another portal or not. Let's just pretend that if the warlock summons a portal, there will be a demon spawn. Okay, so you dealt with the first 3 trash packs of technicians. Now it's time to start Fire Maw. After killing the 3 trash packs, you can kill Fire Maw safely. Fire Maw is tauntable, but do not let your DPS go ham on this boss because he has a wing buffet that reduces threat the main tank does by a large percentage. Fire Maw does not. Let's see. Fire Maw does a stacking fire debuff every 5 seconds. This debuff can be dropped by going out of line of sight of the boss. He has a flame breath attack, so he must be faced away from the raid. He also does a knockback to the tank. This boss requires a tank swap to allow one tank to drop the stacking debuff. Tanks that should wear boots with move speed on this fight. For the tank swap mechanic, have the off tank stay out of line of sight at the start of the pool. The main tank grabs Fire Maw and establishes aggro. After the first wing buffet, the wing buffet timer starts ticking down, letting you know the minimum amount of time that he will cast wing buffet again. When the timer expires, it doesn't mean that Fire Maw will cast the buffet right at that moment, but the ability is higher priority in his list of skills to be cast. About 5 seconds before the wing buffet will be cast, have the off tank run to the same spot the main tank is and taunt the boss. Then the main tank will immediately taunt back. This strategy puts both tanks at about the same threat amount, and the main tank with all the debuffs is Fire Maw's target, and he will get the threat drop mechanic. Then he or she can safely run out to drop the debuff stacks. Warlocks should use a Voidwalker here to help sustain through the debuff stacks and avoid spell pushbacks if they are lower on threat meters. You'll want to position Fire Maw in the doorway so that I think this is probably this is going to be the best spot for it. Some people like to use right here. I think here is better because you can sometimes skirt around his line of sight in this area. Or even, I don't think you want to go this far back. I think this far back is too far. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and pull him. Flame buffet. Position Fire Maw in the doorway right where Broodlord spawns. The main tank should stand in the doorway to be knocked into the wall and stay in the same spot. The rest of the raid can stand on either side of the door. So one way to do it is to have him tank right here. Ooh, no, you can't do that. Then you just get knocked around. It's required like precise positioning to tank him right here. Let's see. The rest of the raid stands on either side of the doorway, and there's a little cubby in the gate on the side of the short wall that can be used to heal the tank and strafe out of sight of Fire Maw. There we go. So that's probably why you don't want to tank them right there. You want to tank them more like here or here. Now, if you're yeah, you can just tank them here and line of sight them right here. Is there much else to say about this? Yeah, just try and find a good line of sight spot. So there are guilds that have the main tank stand here and then the off tank stands here, so that neither of them have the flame breath on the raid. The DPS should not get more than 5 stacks of the debuff, or the healing will be too intensive. So at 5 or 6 stacks, the DPS really need to get out of there. So pretty much play a game of seeing how much stacks of a debuff you can avoid before the first flame buffet goes out. Remember to mind your stacks. The 3 Drake's Trash, there's another pack of 4 Drake Talon Worm Guards. Death Talon Overseers. And a Death Talon Worm Guard. Have the mitigation tank grab the largest one. Tank needs to use a free action potion because there will be war stomps. Boom, right there. I'll stun you if you're not using a free action potion. And from that stun, he'll go attack the healers in the group. The smaller Draconoids can be stacked in 2 or 3 at a time, cleaved or single targeted depending on your raid's gear. Be sure to call out School of Magic for the for these guys. One of the other packs is a Elemental Shaper Krizix. He can teach miners how to smelt Elementium bars. You can use a priest to mind control him. But he should be first kill target if you're done with the mind control and teaching smelt Elementium to your miners. After that, pretty much pull these 3 guys to each side of the room. Go ahead and clear some trash here to clear it out. Clear as much trash as you feel confident. There is one trash pack you can skip, which is this one here. You can clear him after you kill Nefarian. So this trash pack could be skipped if you have your raid hugging this wall. Also, while you're clearing, you don't want to have I might even say clear this pack before you clear this side pack, so that you get less chance of aggroing the people here, because your raid will be coming up from this corner and you don't want people standing here and DPSing over here, because that will aggro this pack in this corner. So let's go over Itemrack. He's the second of the 3 Drakes. He casts a Shadow Breath. For this reason, you want to make sure you have your Onyxia High cloaks on for the tanks, because they will be taking the Shadow Flame Breath. He will apply a debuff on the current tank that heals Itemrack anytime he attacks that target. down. So here is the Ebon Rock corner. So you'll want to have your 3 tanks. Let's see, I'm gonna have to make a group again. Got guess I don't get the raid control thing because I'm in combat. So 1 tank would stand here. Another tank stands 90 degrees over here. So that should bring him out not facing the other one. And then another tank would stand right here. Oh, darn it. There we go. And that should be this should be out of line of sight of the wall tank. Oh, there's the wing buffet. Buffet. This is a flame buffet. Wing buffet. Flame buffet. So flame buffet is fire maw. Wing buffet is all dregs. I'm streaming. So that was the triangle tanking position. So as you're looking at the corner, you have 1 tank on the left wall, 1 tank on the corner, 1 tank on the far wall. That'll make sure that they don't get hit by the Shadow Flame Breath, and each of them can taunt off for the Shadow of Ebon Rock debuff that each tank will get. The final of the 3 dranks is Flame Gore. He is the weakest of. He's the easiest pool in the raid. He uses a frenzy mechanic, so assign hunters to a trank shot rotation, and he also does a Shadow Flame Breath that the Onyxia Scale Cloak is used for. Warriors can keep the cloak on. He also does a wing buffet, and so you'll have the off tank use taunt before the wing buffet is applied, and then you want the wing buffet to hit the off tank so the threat will go directly back to the main tank. And warlocks, you can use imps. So if I were pulling Flame Gore, pull him. May as well just have him in the same spot. There's his frenzy mechanic. So if you want to tank stuff in this corner, you will have to clear that trash pack. If you want to skip the trash pack, you can have this corner as what you use. Got 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. So that's 1 tank, 2 tank, 3rd tank for Ebon Rock. Okay. Each week, Cro-Magnus has 2 random breaths, and you won't know which one until you engage him. He casts 1 breath about every 25 seconds. 1 breath is the Incinerate. It does fire damage to anyone in line of sight. Fire damage can reach 9,000 if you have a curse called Brood Affliction Black. The green breath is Corrosive Acid. It does nature damage dot to anyone in the line of sight. The acid reduces armor by 4 to 5,000 and deals 5,000 nature damage over 15 seconds. 1 breath is Frost, which deals low frost damage, but it reduces the attack speed by 80%. The black breath inflicts players with Ignite Flesh, which is a stacking dot that does 650 to 900 fire damage every 3 seconds for 60 seconds. This can be deadly if Cro-Magnus uses it too frequently and may require a tactical tank swap. 1 breath is Time Lapse that will apply a 6-second stun to players and reduce maximum hit points to half. Once the breath wears off, your health will jump back up. To deal with this stun, the entire raid stands in line of sight for the time-lapse breath. It really sucks if one person is stunned due to the bronze affliction out of line of sight when the time-lapse breath hits, and 39 other players get crowd controlled, but one player was not able to. Make your trips in and out of the line of sight the least traveled distance so you can do other things like heal or DPS or bandage. It's better to move out of line of sight early so that you and into line of sight once you hear the breath is out of line of sight once you hear the breath is called, instead of trying to move out of line of sight late, because once the breath is called, you're hit by the mechanic. It's a long fight, so mana per 5 and early mana pot chugging is advised. Cro-Magnus has a frenzy mechanic that needs a trank shot rotation. Uses the same rotation as Flame Gore. He will also use Brood Affliction that will curse, poison, disease, and magic debuff random people in the instance. This cannot be avoided through line of sight. Dispels need to go out, and mana potions will be needed by the dispellers, or restorative potions can be used by DPS to help everyone else out. Hunters have the highest priority dispels to continue trank shots, because if their mana is gone and they weren't dispelled, the boss will wipe the raid. So you'll use Hourglass Sand to dispel your Curse the Brood Affliction Brawn. The debuff lasts for 10 minutes and can only be cured by the Brood Affliction Bronze or by dying. Cro-Magnus also has a rotating spell weakness called Shimmering that needs, and the weakness should be called out on voice comms. On voice. This can help spellcasters drop lower on the threat meters if they started out high, and they can hand out some dispels or decurses, do some first aid, or change a wand for the new shimmer. At 20% life, Cro-Magnus enrages, so the raid leader will call out DPS to stop around 25 to 23%. If you know a tough breath is coming and are going to push the enrage, you do not want to do that during your breath. So at the enrage stage, all healers should not stay in for the time-lapse breath that stuns them, and focus instead on everything to keep the tank alive. He will still need a trank shot during the 20% enrage, so watch his horns for when they glow red. Some private servers also allowed Cro-Magnus to be disarmed, but that does not seem like a mechanic that Classic would adopt. If the tank dies, there's no reason to battle res him, because he will not re-establish aggro. There are several positions where he can be tanked effectively. You can do it at the door to Flame Gore's room. You can do it on the circular ramp facing down. So right here. So you'd stand here, the boss would stand here, and the raid would likely line of sight right here. I would say well, if you tanked him that far down, it'd be tough. Maybe the melee can hit it, attack. That might be possible. If the melee just attacked right here. There's also the door to his own room, so you could tank him there, or you could tank him on the cubbies on the right hand side before the circular ramp. So apparently these cubbies can be used to have Cro-Mag here, and then line of sight him right here. Then You would line of sight him on Flamegore's room right here. If you are tanking him in his room, you can line of sight him on this cubby right here. I would say reduce travel time, line of sight him right here. If you're going to tank him there. Let's get the fight started. So when he starts, he'll run out into this room. He has an insanely large aggro radius. So here it says it's damage taken from arcane increased, so you'll want to use your arcane wands. I got the Brutification blue, so this is the random dispels that go out during the fight. So I would need Disease Cleanse and Magic Cleanse. There was his Enrage, the horns went, and now he just shimmered into Shadow. So good luck all Shadow Priests not taking aggro when he does that. So cool. So you can line of sight him right here. Let's see. What is this? Ignite Flesh. That's the Black Affliction. And what's his other breath? Brute Affliction, red. Incinerate. That should be that. Oh, so this... Let's see what his breaths are. He has Ignite Flesh. Yeah, I have the black, which is a stacking dot every 3 seconds for 60 seconds. So is this going to get another Ignite Flesh? Because his next breath is Ignite Flesh. And oof, very close. It did not stack. And then he also has the Fire Breath, which does 4,000 damage, and it can reach 9,000 damage if I have this fire damage increase curse on me. So for that reason, you got to be very on tanking the dispelling the tank. So the next breath is going to be his Incinerate. Yep. Okay. And then it goes Incinerate, Ignite Flesh, Incinerate, Ignite Flesh. Let's see if Ignite Flesh stacks, and then we can move on to Nefarian. Does he do any kind of cleave? It doesn't seem that way. Does not seem like he's cleaving. So you can tank him, I believe. Just right here. So have him there so that the melee don't parry. Let's see, do I have anything that would disarm? Dispatch? No. Distract, detection, gouge. I do not have any disarm stuff. Wanted to see if disarm would work on this guy. Nope. Nope. Okay. Enrage does 50% more damage, I believe. That... Okay, so I got double shoulders. Okay. I'm gonna cloak a shadow my stuff there. So, now we're on to Nefarian Human. Before the speech, put on your Nyxia Scale Cloak. So, Warlocks can use Fell Hunters to dispel Polymorph, or a Succubus to deal good damage. So after the speech from Nefarian, he will go into Spectral form. Then he will start throwing random Shadow Bolts at players in your raid. You can kind of line of sight these shadow bolts by using these pillar towers if you see him on a side. Huh. Well, that did not work though. So I have black and red dragonoids coming out of the left side. Each of the dragonoids have different colors. Oh, here's a giant one. This is one that the tanks really need to pick up, the chromatic ones. So you always want to AoE the red dragonoids group. Always assist the single target, the blue dragonoid group. DPS is preferred on the black dragonoid group. They do a lot of damage. AoE is preferred on the bronze dragonoid group. And green dragonoid groups are governed by the other color that appears with them. This is not representative of what will be happening in Classic. What you'll want to do is put some kind of slows next to the door and have a... Oh, there's the Shadow Flame. So if you don't have your Onyxia Scale Cloak, the Shadow Flame will hit you. You'll want to set up your tank early when there's about 5 to 3 dragon spawn left. The tank and the healer will need to go into this spot to tank Nefarian. The range DPS will probably be stacked over here on this cross, and the warlocks will want to stand around here for the infernals. And again, oh, there we go. I have the rogue class call. This teleports you to the middle of Nefarian and allows you not to move. Because of this, the tanks will want to reposition Nef about 45 to 90 degrees so that the rogues don't get cleaved by Nefarian. So Warlock stays stacked outside, melee group stays together for chain heal. The other casters also group up together. Nothing really special about that. The other important class call is the warrior class call. They will be stuck in berserker stance, and that means they'll take 22% more damage and will generate much less threat. Do not continue to cast shadow bolts if you get a large crit during this class call. Take a second to life tap and bandage. The warlock's class call summons infernals down on them that stun and deal a small amount of damage. The priest class call, actually the priest should stop their healing before every class call, and shamans and druids need to pick it up. The priests are doing damaging heals during their class call. Shamans need to make sure they have their tremor totems down. The shaman class call is totems start spawning that buff Nefarian. So all the single target DPS need to switch to the totems until that call is over. And shamans should think about waiting until after their class call finishes to use a mana potion or replaying totems. The tanks can try and time their berserker rages around their fears, and when rogues get called to be teleported to Nef, the tank may need to rotate the dragon 45 to 90 degrees so that rogues do not die to cleave in Shadow Breath. The mage's class call will randomly polymorph raid members. The priests will need to dispel the sheep effect, and shaman can try and use grounding totems during the call to absorb their sheeps. The hunter call will immediately break the bow, or there's a chance that it will break on the very next shot they do. Macro to unequip your weapon for a few seconds before every class call is the best solution. Nef also has a tail swipe and shadow breath like Onyxia. Nef is immune to taunt. He will also cast a curse out on the target closest to him, Veil of Shadow. That will do a 75% healing debuff, and it needs to be removed immediately by druids and mages. At 20%, Neff will start phase 2, which will call all of the Draconoids you killed back. Am I going to be able to do a very light tap to him? Probably not. Oh, I did. Okay. So it called back all the Draconoids, and you'll have to AoE these down. So hunters will need to put down like freezing traps, and mages need a blizzard. Everybody can throw their Stratholme Holy Waters because these guys are undead. But these guys need to be taken care of before you DPS the dragon at all when 20% hits. So pretty much what you need to do is bring pots and flasks, read and watch videos, and get lots of sleep before the night. If you end up wiping on Neff, it's a 15-minute timer until you can engage him again. So you have to sit through loading screens of logging out to preserve your consumables, and just try and get Neff's health to 0 while keeping yours above 0 on the first pool, so you don't have to deal with repeat attempts. Going to check the time on this, so thank you.